Hi everybody, my name is Mark, and I'm going to do a brief rules explanation for my Ludum Dare Compo entry, 20,000 Leagues. I pulled some of the keycards so that we could talk about those, but 20,000 Leagues is a card drafting set collection game for 3 to 5 players. It features a deck of 72 cards. You'll see that in the PDF. It's a print and play. You can 9 cards per page. You can cut them out. I find it really helpful to use card sleeves, back them with a poker card or an old Magic the Gathering land or something. There's some of each in this set. But whatever works for you. Hopefully there will be a Tabletop Simulator mod out soon, but because of the way their thing is structured, that's going to take some extra time. Okay, so the name is 20,000 Leagues. The object of the game is to win. You win by having the most points at the end of the game. You'll score points by drafting cards from a hand and playing them face up in front of you. You can see that the cards have a number in the upper right corner. That is the value of the card. I'll hold this up a little higher so that it sharpens a little bit better. So some cards simply have a score, and some have special things. The way the gameplay is going to go is each player will be dealt a hand of cards, 5 cards in the basic 4-player game, adjusting slightly for the number of players. And you will simultaneously, from your hand, choose a card that you're going to play, place it in front of yourself, and then I'll simultaneously reveal. And you'll pass the remaining cards to your left so that that player now has access to draft a card from those. Some cards have... A number of cards have special features. One has a special action, so I'm going to get right to that. That's the Dive, Dive, Dive / Clear Waters card. When you play this card, you have to decide if you're going to play it as Dive, Dive, Dive or as Clear Waters. You could do that by rotating the card around before you flip it, as long as you flip it in the correct direction. Whatever, just don't cheat. The important thing is that you have to decide without seeing what the other players are playing at this moment. So when you reveal it. If you play it as Dive, 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 then everybody will play their current cards, and this round will end immediately. Any cards left in hands will go into the discards. If you do that, you then discard the Dive, Dive, Dive unless one or more players has, at some point in this round, either right now or previously, played a hazard card. That can be you having played a hazard card earlier in the round. That's valid. If you keep it, it's worth 5 points. If there were no hazards, so you caused the sub to dive when it wasn't necessary, then that card goes away with all the other discards, so it's worth 0. Alternately, you can play it as Clear Waters. The Clear Waters card has no special effect. Like that. It's worth 5 points, but if anybody plays or has played a hazard during this round, then is discarded for no score. So that's Dive and Clear Waters. There are a couple of cards that interact with those. There are the hazards. Hazards are worth -1 point, but because they're scary. But if you successfully spot a hazard and anybody dives, then you get points, positive points, for having protected the sub, so you'll rotate that around to display that it's worth 5 points rather than -1. So if I play a hazard and you play Dive, 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 or I play a hazard and I play Dive, 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 the hazard will be worth 5 points, and the dive will be worth 5 points. Multiple hazards are in the game, and they can interact in the same way, each being worth 5 points, and the dive being worth 5. The other thing that interacts with dives is the sea turtle. I have a printing error, but the finished version will have it correct. The sea turtle is worth 2 points, but it's really worth 5. So if nobody dives, then you'll be able to rotate your sea turtle around and score 5 points. As I said, my print copy has an error there. But sea turtles are scared off by the bubbles from when the sub dives, so if if somebody does dive, then you'll only score the 2. So that's the special action stuff. Then there's some other cards that have special values. So there are cards like the crab and the blobfish that just score their listed value. There are 3 cards that are in sets that score triangular numbers based on how many you have. The butterfly fish, the fusilier, and the coral, which I didn't pull out. Those show an asterisk in the corner. So the entire set scores a triangular number based on how many you collected. So if I have 3, say this were 3 fusiliers, that would be worth 6 points for all 3 of them together. Works out to 2 points each. So getting a big set of those is good. Other things where you want to get big sets. The jellyfish. Each jelly is worth X, where X is the number of jellies you've collected. So 1 jelly is worth 1, 2 jellies are worth 2 each for 4, etc. Similarly, but a little differently, eels, the entire set scores 2 to the X, where X is the number of eels you've collected. So if you have 1 eel, it's worth 2 points. If you have all 4 eels, that's worth 16 points for the 4. A couple of other special interactions. Sharks. Sharks are worth 3 points, but they're big apex predators. You don't want a lot of them. They just fight. So if you have more than 1 shark, then you get 0 for all of your sharks. There are also tuna. Tuna are worth 2 points, but if you have exactly 2 tuna, then they are worth 0 points instead, because are there 2 of them? Nah. And finally, the scuba diver. The scuba diver is kind of important. Scuba divers are worth nothing if you only have 1. Always dive with a buddy. If you have more than 1, each scuba diver's value is X, where X is the number of unique attractions that you have in your tableau. Attractions are anything that aren't hazards or dive, clear waters. So if at the end of the game, I had this and 2 scuba divers, I could make this a more effective example if I gave myself a duplicate, couldn't I? Okay, say I had this, and for the sake of things, say I also had a colossal squid worth 5. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 unique attractions, so each of my scuba divers is worth 4 points for a total of 8. Those are all of the rules. You play through 3 rounds, and then whoever has the most points at the end wins. So I'm going to play 1 sample round, maybe a full sample game. I'll see how time is. I only have an hour and a half until the end of the compo, so I don't want to spend too long on this. But I did want to get it out there to help people. It felt like I had enough time to get it in. So I should have tagged this video Limdari. Oh well, my bad. Okay, so to begin we deal out, I'm going to demonstrate with the 4-player version of the game. So each player receives 5 cards. And I'm going to play the players in sequence, but they actually play simultaneously, just for the sake of simplicity. Okay, so in this seat, I have these cards, and I'm going to choose to play a scuba diver, because they're really good. I guess to demonstrate the simultaneousness, I'll play them face down and then flip them all up, which isn't what I've been doing in my demos, but it's good. So I pick a card and I pass to the left. This player will do something similar. So I think I'd rather try to build up a set. That 4 points on the anglerfish is pretty nice. Actually, let's go for the fixed points this time. This player has nothing super exciting. We'll try to start building up a Fusilier set. We have a dive, and we have a hazard, so we know the hazard's going to score. So I think we'll actually play that hazard, because, well, someone will have a dive card available, and they're likely to play it for the 5 points. You get to share points that way. So we all flip our cards face up. Nobody chose dive, so those go in front of us and we move on to the next card. Now I know there's a hazard, so I can just play the dive and end the round and cash 5 points. But I've got a scuba diver, so I probably want to go long and broad. So I'm going to play the eel here. Over here at the anglerfish. The quick points actually seem really good for the anglerfish player. So we're going to say they're going to play a dive. Up here we see a hazard, which means it's likely there are dives. So let's not play the sea turtle. And let's try to build up another set. So the butterfly fish. And in this hand, tuna, crab, eel, shark. The eel has the most potential to build. Okay, so we flip the cards over. Add them to our tableaus as appropriate. This player has played dive. They're going to keep it as a 5. This is going to get rotated over to a 5. And because we got scared and the sub dive dove early, I think that's how grammar works. We end the round, move on to the next round. 2, 3, 4, 5. This eel matches our eel, so that's going to be good. Let's assume we do that. We're only in the second round. We don't have a good spread for tuna, for scuba divers. No, I think scuba divers are too important. We need to draft it because this might happen. So we wouldn't have wanted to pass the scuba diver on to this player if they drew one as they did. This does mean scuba divers have a pretty high luck element. But that also means they significantly affect the drafting. And over here, what do we have? An eel, which is not going to go far. Could start trying to build up jellies. So an eel there, scuba there, scuba up here, jelly here. Okay, here, shipwrecks us cool 3 points. Looks good. Similarly, since we're going breadth because we're hoping to pick up a second scuba diver now, and it's consistent with the other thing, let's take the solid points on the blowfish. Up here we can add to our butterfly fish set. That's probably going to be good. And over here, let's, I guess, start working on some... We're not going to get Fusiliers, they're behind us. Let's take our one shark. One shark because more than one and they're worthless. I'm going to stack the blobfish with the anglerfish just for simplicity, because they don't interfere with each other. This player might as well take the Fusilier. It's better than these other things. We'll take a ray. The butterfly fish is a nice score. And here we don't want the shark. So we'll take the butterfly fish. I already turned that butterfly fish face up. Okay. So you can see this one's gonna play out without a dive. Let's shark here. Crab here. Guess we have to play a tuna. And I guess we have to play a coral. And then we play our last cards. Okay, and I think for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to wrap up and count scores here, like pretending that we don't have a third round. So none of these scuba divers score. If, again, just for an example, if this player had had 2 scuba divers, this would be really big. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 unique attractions, so it would be 10 points for the 2 scuba divers, or 5 points each. But as it is, none of them score. So for this player, we have 2 eels, so the set scores the 2 is 4, plus 3 for the shipwreck, 1 for the fusilier, 3 for the shark, 1 for the coral, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12. This player over here, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 1 tune is fine, 12, 13 for the ray, plus 5 is 18. I'm going to shuffle these over with this player. 1 tune is okay, so we have 1, 2, 5, 1 for the jelly, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 5 for the sea serpent, because it was, we hit the dive as 15. Okay, and this player has 3 butterfly fish for 6 points. 7, 8, 9, 10. So whatever was the highest, I think we had an 18 on the left player, so that would be the winner. Yeah, so the game's actually played over 3 rounds. That was just shortening to simplify. You will use 5/6 of the cards in most of the deck scenarios. And I think that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for playing my game. And take care. There's more information. There's a nice table in the manual and things like that.